When I came on the fire department in 1963, we did not have blacks in the firehouses around the city. We only had black firefighters at Engine 7, Engine 4, and Engine 27.
Prior to the full-scale integration of the fire department under President Lyndon Johnson, we had firehouses that were only African American. And Burton Johnson started in one of those firehouses as his career.
From 1961 to 1963, the DC Fire Department hired 300 black firefighters. That was an attempt to integrate the firehouses.
When I came on board in 1969, it was just about 1 year after the riots of 1968 that occurred after the assassination of Dr. King. So tensions were high. DC Fire Department at that time was like most departments. It was a basically white male-oriented fire department, as the fire service was at that time.
We were assigned beds in the firehouse, so you had to sleep in the bed that you was assigned to. All the blacks was assigned to the same bed on all the different shifts.
There had been, or allegedly had been, discrimination in hiring, promotion practices, assignment practices, and things of that nature.
You worked in a firehouse, they didn't allow you to eat with them. They cooked the meals in the firehouse, but you was excluded. You had coffee cups and stuff. You had to bring your own coffee in. I was in the fire prevention division the majority of my career. We ended up with Chief Johnson, who was at the fire prevention division, and he and the fire marshal got along, and he got promoted up to the rank of battalion chief, and then eventually he became the fire marshal.
We think he was the first black fire marshal throughout the U.S.
Chief Johnson started a community relations unit, but that's the greatest asset that Chief Johnson gave to the DC Fire Department as not only the fire marshal, but also as the fire chief of the District of Columbia. He believed that the community was most important and protecting them was most important. And how do you protect them? Keep them safe.
Chief Burton Johnson was the first African American fire chief in the District of Columbia. I could only imagine how big of an impact that made on the African American community in the city. And to go from essentially a segregated fire department to the chief of a department in one generation has got to be a pretty remarkable experience, and I suspect that he had to work twice as hard as anybody else to get there. I also think that some of the things that are great today, like our cadet program, in understanding how they developed, they started as ideas under his leadership, even if they took 15 years later to finally work their way through. So while he took the lead of the department in 1973, some of the changes that he envisioned weren't implemented for years. He represents a generation of leaders that really integrated the fire department, the chiefs that followed him especially as well. One of the things the Progressive Firefighters Association and I guess this generation of leaders has done all the way through is they've advocated for everybody. That shouldn't be lost on anybody that works for us.
They were able to, speak to different cities, speak to the mayors and the people in the cities and start to make these changes.
Progress in diversity, equity, and inclusion has to be an ongoing effort. It never stops. Why is diversity, equity, and inclusion important to our community that we serve? Because it helps us assure that our values and the things that we're focused on meet the needs of the community. It helps us identify with the community. So we have inequity in our city. 82% of our cardiac arrests are African Americans. A majority of the gunshot victims in this city are African American. If we weren't a diverse department, I think we would struggle to understand the impact of this. We have to recognize our community needs, and I think being representative of our community allows us to do that.